What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you tune into the channel and check out the content. And with that being said, man, I want to speak on this Nas, right? And how Nas was able to win this contract, this $5 billion deal, this partnership with the New York City casinos, right? And just talk about how Nas really played from the very beginning, how Nas played the long game. And it just goes to show that what you do, like how you start the game and how you play the game when you're young, it falls over into like he's reaping the benefits of and the residuals of the hard work and the loyalty that he had when he was young. Right. And so Nas, Jay-Z, and Dame came into the game, to the rap game around the same time, like around in the 90s. They all came around the same time, you know. I probably was aware of Nas probably before I was Jay-Z and excuse me, Jay-Z and Dame, but they all came around the same time, right? And so let's take let's take Dame first, right? Because all three of these guys operate and move differently. And the way you move and the way that they move affected their outcomes, like to where they got at where they are right now. All of them had success, and rose to the top in the rap game. Dame, had a lot of success. He was the head of his record label. Him and Rockefeller, they was making a lot of money. Dame was a brash guy, arrogant, and and just basically said what he want and didn't worry about burning bridges and stuff like that, right? And the way Dame operated, he kind of like alienated himself, right? Because people didn't want to do business with him because he was arrogant. He thought he knew everything. And like I said, he burned bridges. So with him burning bridges like that, everybody is aware of the fact that Jay-Z cut ties with him. Because the way Dame operated was very short-sighted. He didn't really have any future. He didn't keep the future in mind. He was only concerned about now. He thought in his mind, he probably thought he knew it all. He probably thought he had everything under control. He probably thought that things, once you learn how to make money, he probably thought that he would be able to make money and just keep flowing. Once he arrived, he thought he was dead. But it didn't work out that way because of like the way he moved and the way his attitude was. And so he wind up, that's why Dame is going through a lot of the things that he's going through now, because of the way he moved and operated, right? So that's a lesson. Like people who, like if you was able to follow rap and you was able to follow Dame, Jay-Z and Nas over the last 20 years, you'll see like I said, the way Dame operated is a big reason why he is where he is now. Like I said, he just was arrogant. He was very outspoken, and that really rubbed people the wrong way. I'm sorry, I got an allergy, and that just rubbed people the wrong way, right? And that's, like I said, that's why Dame is right now going through a lot of the things that he's going through now. So that's Dame, right? I see Dame, like his situation to me, because of the way he operated, was very ugly. Right now, Jay-Z was a little bit more. He was a little bit more calculated than Dame. Jay-Z was you know, more laid back. And the thing about Jay-Z, he burned bridges, but he burned bridges with people that he thought maybe was expendable. Right? Like the guy, his partner that he grew up with, the guy named DeHaven. Right? DeHaven went a long way in exposing like how Jay-Z really operated. And so once DeHaven put that out there, like how Jay-Z operated, then you had Dame putting discussing like how he felt like Jay-Z kind of like turned his back on him and backstabbed him and stuff like that. All that was out there in the air, right? Jay-Z was a little bit more calculating than Dame, but Jay-Z also left a lot of he burnt some bridges too with some people, and then once he burnt bridges behind the door, he tried to keep his stuff behind the doors. But people around him, you had Dame, DeHaven, even what's the young lady? Like Nicki Minaj had some complaints about him. And all this stuff was out there, right? That Jay-Z wasn't as clean cut. He wasn't as solid as he would want you to believe, and that they put that out there. And so that's why Jay-Z, I think, because it eventually, everything with Jay-Z just came to the forefront. It came to the top, and Jay-Z basically got exposed. Right now they're talking about how Jay-Z is maybe, they had some allegations that Jay-Z may be involved in like some money laundering and things like that. So Jay-Z whole thing was like, he tried to keep it private, and he thought that if his dirty dealings wasn't in the public, that then it probably wouldn't be a big deal. But the thing about that, Jay-Z found out is like when you do dirty to people is going to say something. And you just have so many people coming out and speaking about how Jay-Z was, that I think all of that just comes into play especially now when it comes to Jay-Z getting that casino. Like I said, the fact that Jay-Z is he got some allegations against him, and his name has come up, with some as far as like taking advantage of some of his artists or his partners and stuff like that. Even Kanye West had issues with Jay-Z. And I think all of that played a part into Jay-Z not getting that casino deal. And then so now, fast forward to Nas, right? Nas operated totally different from Jay-Z. And also operated different from Dame. Like even in the beginning, when Nas had that beef with Jay-Z, and he had that Ether album, right? Nas was always kind of cool and laid back, but he never was going to let that like play himself out of character. He wasn't going to get caught up in like no rap beef. I mean, not to the level of like a Biggie and Tupac. He wasn't going to get caught up in it like that. He just made money and he kept it moving. So once Nas was able to maintain, his image and everything, and his brand and all of that stuff, I think throughout this whole situation, throughout the years, Nas has always been, connected to different rappers and different people in the building, in the business. And Nas he never burnt bridges. He was always down to do collaboration with other rappers and stuff like that, and maintaining those relationships, right? And so Nas never had a reputation of really like getting over or taking advantage on people. He never had a reputation of like burning bridges and stuff like that. And so he remained solid throughout his whole career. Now, that don't mean that everybody don't have, like, because business is business. Like when you have to do business, you got to do business. But because Nas remains solid with a lot of people, he don't have a lot of people out there in the streets or complaining and talking about like Nas burnt the bridges and stuff like that. And his public image and his brand over the years has never really taken a hit like Jay-Z and Dame. And so it only makes good business sense for the people that's doing business with Nas to do business with him. Like if anybody would choose Nas over Jay-Z, to do business with because of his public image and his brand. And so this right here, in my opinion, just serves as an example of how you want to move and how you want to operate. When you don't need to be like Dame, like you can't move like you're the only person, like you're the only piece on the chessboard. You can't do that. And that's what Dame did. And that's I think that's what messed Dame up in the long run. Then Jay-Z, he tried to be a little bit more stealth about it, but he burnt bridges and he pissed people off. And some of his so-called dirty dealings have came to the light. And that's right now, that's what's biting Jay-Z in the backside. And like I said, with Nas just played it cool the whole way along. And then, he came out on top. And that's a big part. That's, in my opinion, that's a big part of the reason why Nas was able to land that deal with that New York City casino, that partnership. And like I said, people should just really take a lesson and take note that you got to be careful. You got to be strategic in the way you move. Like if you try to do dirt behind the scenes, that's going to come back and haunt you like it did Jay-Z. If you too arrogant and you don't care about other people's, what other people think and everything, and you think that you can just say anything to people, that's going to make you an immediate target for people like Dame. And so you just have to be strategic in the way you move, and keep in mind that, it's not good to burn bridges. And that's the way I think Nas has moved throughout his entire career. He just didn't burn bridges, and he was very strategic. And I haven't really heard anybody trying to put any dirt on Nas's, on his reputation. So, Nas, man, has always been, in my opinion, he's always been the guy who more strategic about the way he moves. So that's my take on the situation. Make sure to like and subscribe. Don't forget to leave a comment, and I'll check you all out in the next video. Peace.